Mr. Gurria, can aid really improve trade and boost the economy of developing countries?
Yes, it can if it is properly channeled and if it is used to leverage the overall effect of trade liberalization. That means if we open trade, that means we'll buy the produce, we'll buy the exports, but how can we get the exports if there are no roads, if there are no ports, if there are no airports in order to take them, if there are no procedures to keep the merchandise at certain temperatures so that it doesn't spoil, etc. So, and also, how do you create institutions? How do you create a whole new generation of modern men and women who are looking at the whole of the world rather than just their region or their country as their province, in order to plug these developing countries into the trade flows of the world? It's more than just the products. It's really a whole culture that has to be created.
And at the moment, how much aid for trade is there, and who does it go to? Where does it come from?
The total flow of aid is somewhat upwards of $100 billion, about $110 billion, of which about 1/5, which is about $21 to $22 billion equivalent, is what you would call aid for trade. When we started working with this concept, everything seemed to qualify for aid for trade, so there was nothing else. Now we've gotten more objective, more serious. The definitions are tighter. And it's about 1/5. They're going to those countries that have the capacity to create this infrastructure, to leverage these resources, and that are needing perhaps this extra push in order to make it possible. It's going also to both countries, institutions, productive units, which need that additional element, let's say quality, or in order to conform better to what one could describe as general international trade practices. And many times there's a lot of exports that are left in the home countries because of quality issues, and there are some very dramatic numbers in some of the poorest countries in the world, India included, for example, where 1/3 to 40% of the crops are lost. So whether they were going to be for export or not, that means even for the Indian people, who many of whom are so poor and very much in need, there's a lot of waste. So that also has to be addressed.
So what are the next steps?
Only more than a year ago, when we were looking at the concept of aid for trade, I remember we did a report where we sent out questionnaires to all the recipient countries, and we got back 7 questionnaires. This year we are reporting to the WTO on 90 countries, 90 developing countries that have answered our questionnaires and who are telling us what they do with the resources, what they apply to, but also what they need, what they would like to see. So it's not only about the past, but also about planning for the future. And last time we reported, it was about 30 donor countries. Now we're reporting about 50, both countries and development institutions. So we're covering pretty much everything that moves on this particular issue. And we're going to be much better prepared to optimize its use, to address it better, to make it more useful, to have a greater impact, to have greater relevance. You know, aid is only a part of the total amount of the needs, but we should make every penny count. And aid for trade is a way of making this part of the aid flows very useful, very practical, very down to earth, to have a real impact for the livelihood of people.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gurria.
Thank you.